I'm a 35-year-old office worker, married to Kevin, who's 6 years my senior. Our marriage spans 9 years, but currently, I find myself residing with my mom due to certain circumstances. Let me unravel the events leading to this arrangement. 4 years ago, Kevin and I embarked on building our dream home. However, financial constraints loomed large as Kevin had recently transitioned jobs, leaving us with scant savings and a modest income. His previous workplace subjected him to incessant workplace toxicity, triggering sleep disturbances and rendering him unable to continue working. Seeking solace, he sought psychiatric help and took a hiatus of 3 months, yet his recovery proved elusive. Eventually, he made the difficult decision to resign. During this period, I became the sole breadwinner. With time, Kevin's condition improved. He regained his appetite, normalized his sleep patterns, and earned the approval of his psychiatrist for his remarkable progress. The vibrant, affectionate Kevin I knew returned. Eager to re-enter the workforce, he'd embarked on a job hunt. Despite encountering hurdles due to his past mental health struggles, his tenure at the large corporation proved advantageous in securing a position at a smaller firm. Though the paycheck paled in comparison to his previous earnings, the opportunity to work in his desired field brought him joy. Witnessing his renewed sense of purpose filled me with happiness, knowing that he found fulfillment in his professional endeavors once again. We harbored hopes of starting a family, but the practicalities of life loomed large. Knowing that our financial stability relied on my continued employment, I pressed on with my career. Besides, I found immense fulfillment in my work, and Kevin and I mutually agreed to postpone parenthood. With just the two of us, life unfolded peacefully until tragedy struck. My mother, Sarah, was involved in a car accident that left her paralyzed, reliant on a wheelchair for mobility. Having lost my father during my middle school years, Sarah had been living independently ever since. However, our family home, aged and laden with stairs, proved unsuitable for her new circumstances. It was then that Kevin proposed a solution. Let's live together. Sarah and I were taken aback by his unexpected generosity, yet deeply touched by his compassion. Given Kevin's recent job transition, uncertainties clouded our future, but we resolved to explore our options. Despite facing hurdles due to Kevin's short tenure at his current job, we remained steadfast in our pursuit. After navigating through numerous rejections, we finally secured a mortgage approval from a sympathetic lender. With unwavering determination, we purchased our envisioned haven, a home adorned with the fragrance of wood, boasting sturdy beams, custom storage solutions, a kitchen tailored to my needs, and spacious cypress flooring. Crucially, it was a single-story, wheelchair-accessible sanctuary, perfectly suited for comfortable living. The anticipation of our new home being constructed filled us with excitement, prompting us to visit the construction site daily. Upon its completion, our meticulously planned abode boasted a spacious yard, offering my mother, who now rarely ventured outdoors, a sunny spot for relaxation. However, there was a twist concerning the land it sat upon. Endowed to us by Kevin's revered grandfather, who held Kevin in high esteem, it held sentimental value beyond measure. Though Kevin's family wasn't affluent, his grandfather, upon learning of his cancer diagnosis, began dispersing his assets, bequeathing us the largest parcel of land. Receiving such a gift felt akin to winning the lottery, yet the plot's proximity to Kevin's family home, merely a 10-minute stroll away, raised eyebrows. When we disclosed our plan for my mother to move in with us, Kevin's sister's reaction was one of derision. Her incredulous query, "Why is your mother moving in too? How shameless is your family?" stung deeply. Kevin's mother's disapproving remarks about my background and the burden she perceived my mother to be echoed this sentiment, branding me as a source of misfortune. Despite the hurtful remarks, Kevin staunchly defended us, asserting that the land was a gift from his grandfather, not subject to scrutiny or reproach. Kevin's family's demeanor, marked by cruelty and disdain, starkly contrasted his innate kindness. He often likened himself to a beautiful flower emerging from murky waters, learning from their negativity how not to be. Kevin believed his grandfather bestowed the land upon us with the expectation that we care for his mother in her twilight years, a duty he embraced wholeheartedly. Other beneficiaries received smaller parcels, such as Kevin's sister, who inherited a lucrative parking lot nearby. Though the prospect of a steady income was enticing, We remained grateful for the gift bestowed upon us, utilizing it to offset construction costs and facilitate our loan acquisition. When our home was finally completed, we extended an invitation to Kevin's mother and sister's family for a visit. However, our excitement soon turned sour as their behavior left much to be desired. The builders informed us that they had made several unannounced visits to the house, arriving late without so much as an apology. Asserting a sense of entitlement, they proclaimed, "This is kind of like Grandpa's house, so it's like our house too." Kevin's sister's arrival, accompanied by muddy shoes, further soured the atmosphere. Disregarding our offered slippers, she cavalierly traipsed through the house, declaring it smelled nice and dismissing the need for air fresheners. When I gently suggested using slippers to preserve the cleanliness of the floors, her response was dismissive, scoffing at the notion as too much trouble. The discomfort only escalated when they expressed an interest in my mother's spacious and sunny room, with Kevin's mother audaciously declaring her desire to claim it as her own. In a shocking display of insensitivity, she remarked to my mother, "You were lucky to have that accident, weren't you? Thanks to being paralyzed, you moved from that old shack to this nice house. Isn't that a lucky turn of events?" Kevin, unable to tolerate their callous remarks, intervened with a stern demand for an apology. Despite their attempts to deflect and justify their behavior, Kevin remained steadfast, refusing to excuse their lack of decency. Witnessing the confrontation unfold, my mother expressed her gratitude for Kevin's kindness, diffusing the tension with her humility. As Kevin's mother and sister-in-law departed, leaving behind a lingering sense of resentment, my mother offered her apologies for any disruption caused. In a display of unwavering support, Kevin shouldered the blame, expressing his embarrassment over their behavior and reaffirming his gratitude for our shared living arrangement. Moved by Kevin's kindness, my mother was overcome with emotion, highlighting the strength of our bond amidst the trials posed by his family's demeanor. Living in close proximity to Kevin's parents meant that our neighbors had known us for years, their kindness a familiar comfort in our lives. As we settled into our new home over the course of 4 months, I noticed a glimmer of joy returning to my mother's eyes. However, the tranquility was shattered by an unexpected phone call I received at work one day. The news that my mother delivered left me reeling with disbelief. Kevin had collapsed at his workplace, sending shockwaves of fear coursing through me. Hastening to the hospital, I clung to the hope that it was merely a scare, reassuring myself with visions of Kevin's usual jovial self. Arriving at the hospital, my heart sank at the sight of Kevin tethered to a web of tubes, his usual playful banter silenced by the gravity of his condition. The doctor's grim prognosis shattered my fragile optimism, plunging me into a surreal nightmare. The weekend plans we had eagerly anticipated now felt like distant memories as the harsh reality of Kevin's critical state unfolded. Devastation struck with unimaginable force when Kevin passed away, leaving me numb with grief. Amidst my anguish, the arrival of Kevin's family only added to the turmoil. Their accusatory words pierced through my sorrow, casting blame upon me for his untimely demise. Bereft of the strength to defend myself, I crumbled under the weight of their accusations. It was my own mother's arrival, consumed by grief, that finally unleashed the floodgates of my tears. Together, we mourned the loss of Kevin, our shared sorrow a poignant reminder of the love we had lost. Yet, even in our darkest hour, Kevin's mother's callous remarks echoed with cruelty, severing whatever remnants of familial ties remained. With a final, disdainful parting, she left us to grapple with our grief alone. The somber task of arranging Kevin's funeral fell upon us, and we found ourselves at the funeral home alongside a funeral director. The news of Kevin's passing from a brain hemorrhage felt surreal, especially considering he had been his usual self just that morning. Informing my mother-in-law of the funeral arrangements yielded little response. She tersely conveyed her intention not to attend, citing Kevin's perceived allegiance to my mother and me. Her daughter, my sister-in-law, echoed this sentiment, declining to participate as well. Despite their absence, the viewing drew a crowd comprising many of Kevin's co-workers and friends. Their presence was a testament to the profound impact Kevin had on those around him. Tears flowed freely as mourners bid farewell to a cherished friend. The funeral itself was a poignant affair, underscoring the depth of love and affection that surrounded Kevin. Amidst the grief, I found solace in the company of those who shared in my sorrow, grateful for the opportunity to spend the day honoring the memory of my beloved husband. As difficult as it was to reconcile with the absence of his family, I couldn't help but reflect on the inherent differences in our ways of grieving. I received an email from my mother-in-law, but its contents were inappropriate, leaving me hesitant to respond. Her persistent inquiries regarding the life insurance money only intensified, flooding my inbox with further demands. Feeling overwhelmed, I opted to ignore her messages, unwilling to engage with the topic at that moment. Upon returning home, a peculiar sight greeted us. A light illuminated from within, contrary to our usual practice of switching off all lights before leaving. My mother, Sarah, expressed confusion, assuming we had overlooked this detail in our haste. As I unlocked the door, the sound of the TV emanated from within, adding to our bewilderment. Entering cautiously, we were met with the unexpected sight of my sister-in-law and her husband seated in the living room amidst unfamiliar furnishings and boxes. Struck speechless by the intrusion, I struggled to comprehend the situation unfolding before us. My sister-in-law's flippant remark about our sudden arrival only compounded the confusion, leaving us grasping for answers amidst the surreal scene. "We're taking over this house. Pack your things and leave," declared my sister-in-law, her words landing like a blow to our senses. My mother and I stood frozen in disbelief, struggling to comprehend the audacity of her command. Demanding an explanation for the sudden disappearance of our furniture and belongings, she brushed off our concerns with callous indifference. According to her, a resale company had swooped in, deeming our possessions worthy of resale. Nonchalantly, she revealed that they had profited from our loss, using the proceeds to furnish the house anew. Dismissing our attachment to our belongings as trivial, she mocked our dismay, insinuating that our modest possessions reflected either a minimalist lifestyle or financial hardship. The furniture, meticulously chosen by my husband and me, held sentimental value beyond measure, making their callous disregard all the more unbearable. Fury ignited within me, mirrored by my mother's flushed complexion, though shock rendered her speechless. Refusing to succumb to their audacious act, I swiftly reached out to the resale company, determined to reclaim what was rightfully ours. After outlining the situation, the resale company agreed to categorize our missing items as stolen and facilitate their return. Dealing with such turmoil in the wake of my husband's passing felt like an unbearable burden. I harbored no desire to maintain any semblance of a relationship with his family, yet the house held cherished memories of him that I couldn't bear to leave behind. As I grappled with conflicting emotions, my mother's quiet voice broke through the turmoil. "What would Kevin say if he were here?" she posed softly. Reflecting on his words, I realized he would likely advise us to leave. Kevin often emphasized the importance of surrounding oneself with understanding individuals, recognizing that some would never grasp our perspective, no matter our efforts. Ironically, he had been referring to his own mother and sister. Accepting the inevitability of their interference if we stayed, I swiftly secured a lease for an accessible apartment. Surprised by my prompt decision, my mother stood by my side as we arranged for our belongings to be held by the resale company temporarily, before being relocated to our new abode. 3 days later, in exchange for vacating the premises, I extracted a promise from my mother-in-law and sister-in-law to sever all ties with us. It was a necessary step towards reclaiming our peace and autonomy in the wake of Kevin's absence. Thus began a new chapter in our lives, my mother and I settling into our apartment without Kevin. It came to light that Kevin had taken out multiple life insurance policies, almost obsessively so. His playful jests about us becoming wealthy in the event of his passing now seemed prophetic. True to his words, he had ensured that we would be financially secure for the rest of our days. When we purchased the house, Kevin's inability to secure a mortgage prompted me, as the primary breadwinner in a major corporation, to acquire it in my name. It was a precautionary measure to safeguard against the burden of shouldering a mortgage for a house I might not inhabit if tragedy struck first. According to our agreement, the house would be auctioned off if the mortgage remained unpaid for 4 months. As time elapsed, my call log became inundated with persistent calls from my sister-in-law, Emily, and mother-in-law, Maria. Their relentless pursuit was reminiscent of a chilling horror movie, fueling a sense of apprehension within me. Yielding to their incessant attempts to reach me, I finally answered the phone. Their fury erupted upon learning that the house was slated for sale. Attempting to return, they were met with a seizure notice bearing their entry. Emily and her husband had vacated their apartment following Kevin's passing, with Emily even resigning from her job. In a desperate bid to alleviate their homelessness, I suggested they return to their parents' house. To my astonishment, Maria had become ensnared in a gambling addiction, resulting in the sale of her own home. Unbeknownst to me, they had been cohabiting for the past 5 months. Furthermore, I learned that they had disposed of their primary source of income, a parking lot adjacent to the train station, long ago. Now, Maria and Emily's family found themselves completely destitute and without shelter. When Maria extended an apology and a plea for financial assistance, I made the difficult decision to sever ties, asserting that it was best for us to maintain distance given the perceived misfortune that seemed to follow. Despite her muted response, I couldn't help but wonder who truly bore the brunt of bad luck in our situation. Refusing to lend a single cent, I was met with Emily's enraged outburst, branding me as a devil and demanding immediate payment. I promptly ended the call, firm in my resolve. In reality, I had engaged a lawyer over the past 5 months to expedite the auction of the house, an unconventional but necessary step to secure closure. Fortunately, the process unfolded without significant complications, granting our family a fleeting sense of peace. With the proceeds from the sale and the financial security Kevin had left behind, my mother and I embarked on a new chapter. Eschewing the need for a large house, we prioritized safety and tranquility, opting for a condominium with minimal noise disturbance. Recalling my husband's vision for our home, I saw a place where my mother-in-law could indulge in her love for reading and bask in the sun. Though smaller in size, the condo boasted a spacious balcony reminiscent of the courtyard Kevin had envisioned, providing a serene space for relaxation. The sale of the house, coupled with the unexpected windfall from Kevin's inheritance, provided us with the means to move forward, signaling a fresh start for my mother and me. In the wake of Kevin's passing, I made the deliberate choice to invest in a luxurious condominium known for its top-notch security features, a decision I'm certain would have brought my cautious husband, Kevin, peace of mind. The sense of security and tranquility offered by our new home is truly priceless, especially considering the tumultuous experiences with my in-laws. Life has taken a stark turn since Kevin's departure, and navigating the aftermath of his family's actions has proven to be emotionally taxing. Following the auction of the house, Kevin's mother, Maria, and sister found themselves displaced, ultimately resorting to public housing after failed attempts to secure financial aid. Unfortunately, their transition to communal living has been marred by a continuation of their old habits. Despite their efforts to adapt, including seeking assistance from neighbors, their presence in public housing has been marked by disturbances that have begun to unsettle the community. From hosting barbecues on their modest balcony to engaging in frequent loud arguments, their disregard for communal harmony has become increasingly evident. Such thoughtlessness, coupled with their financial woes, underscores a long-standing pattern of behavior characterized by a lack of consideration for others' comfort. Their disruptive actions serve as a stark reminder of the challenges we faced in the aftermath of Kevin's passing, further emphasizing the importance of finding solace and security in our new home. Since my sister-in-law's husband departed, she and Maria have been left to navigate their challenges alone. Their tumultuous situation stands in stark contrast to the tranquil and stable life my mother and I now enjoy. While both households consist of 2 individuals, the atmosphere couldn't be more different. Mine is a haven of peace, whereas theirs is fraught with conflict and tension. The disruptive nature of their living arrangements has reached a tipping point, prompting concerned neighbors to unite in an effort to remove them from the premises. It serves as a sobering reminder that regardless of location, being a disturbance can swiftly lead to being unwelcome. Contemplating these unfolding events, I find resonance in the adage, "What goes around comes around." My aspiration now is to carve out a serene and uneventful existence, far removed from the tumultuous dramas of my former familial ties. I envision Kevin observing from beyond, perhaps with a mix of emotions as he witnesses the ongoing chaos perpetuated by his relatives. In contrast to the tranquility he cherished in life, my path forward is marked by a steadfast commitment to lead a life devoid of turmoil or disruption. It's my solemn pledge to honor Kevin's memory not just through words, but through deliberate actions. He epitomized the ethos of a life well lived, surrounded by individuals who fostered joy and understanding. Despite the complexities of the family dynamics left in his wake, I remained resolute in my pursuit of positivity and peace. With each step forward, I strive to embody the essence of Kevin's legacy, cultivating an environment characterized by harmony and goodwill. The decision to purchase this condominium transcended mere relocation. It symbolized the creation of a sanctuary where my mother and I could find solace and security. Amidst the tranquility, order, and absence of turmoil, we relish in each other's company and embrace the moments that truly matter. Though smaller in size compared to our former residence, every nook and cranny of this new abode holds significance, every instance of quietude cherished. Through this journey, I gleaned invaluable lessons in resilience and the art of pressing forward. Fond recollections of Kevin, brimming with love and laughter, serve as a guiding light, inspiring me to embrace life with authenticity and compassion. His legacy of kindness serves as a beacon, urging me to ensure that his spirit lives on through acts of empathy and generosity. In honoring his memory, I find solace in the pursuit of a life well lived. Amidst the tranquility of our chosen refuge, I am steadfast in my commitment to not only live for myself, but to embody the values that would make Kevin proud.